All right, Big Ten Media Days in the books. Sean, I want your biggest takeaway from the Nebraska portion. They had a heck of a day on day one. I think they made a lasting impression not only locally but nationally.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing, Andy, is just how fast things ramped up. I think everybody a year ago knew it was trending in the right direction. The 4-2 finish, the close loss to Iowa, the close loss to Ohio State. But I don't think anybody, when we left the field that day in Iowa City, would have said, you know what, now Nebraska is going to be the favorite in the Big Ten West. And I think it really has caught people a little off guard that 4 of the 5 major preseason polls have picked Nebraska, including the Big Ten media, and how they've handled that. They kind of walked in here more as the hunted versus the hunter, and that's happened a lot quicker, and you got to credit Scott Frost for just how he's raised the perception of Nebraska football already and just the respect he generates nationally, and obviously Adrian Martinez.
Yeah, you're talking about how to handle your program. How about handling yourself in terms of poise? And Adrian Martinez being one of 2 quarterbacks, one of 4 sophomores, and he certainly didn't act his age, so to speak.
No, and you think about Adrian Martinez, we know about him because we've been around him all last season, but very few people on a national scale had been introduced or seen Adrian Martinez, maybe the Black Friday Iowa game or maybe the Ohio State game when Nebraska nearly pulled off the upset in Columbus. Those are times you watched him and said, wow, this kid's pretty good. But getting a chance to see him in action, a lot of different outside media guys were like, wow, he is an impressive kid. And it's just hard to believe he is a true sophomore and potentially could have 3 more years at Nebraska.
It's amazing to think what he could do before he leaves Lincoln. On the defensive side of the football, I was actually very impressed to hear Scott Frost saying the defense may have had a better offseason and may be further ahead than the offense at this point, whether it be in the weight room and strength and conditioning. I thought Mo Berry setting the tone for the 2 defensive guys along with Khalil Davis, he really was outspoken as he should be as the senior leader, as a linebacker.
And I think when you really zone in on that Scott Frost comment, it's about the lines. And I think the defensive line, particularly Darian Daniels, Damian Daniels, Khalil, Carlos Davis, Ben Stilley, DeAndre Thomas, that group of guys coming back, they have a really good group of maybe 7 to 8 guys. They have, to me, an upper hand on Nebraska's offensive line, particularly the center position. There's still questions at guard. I think when you look at that comment by Scott Frost, to me, it's all about the line play, because if the defensive line owns the offensive line in practices, they're going to have the upper hand. And I think you saw that probably a lot in the spring with how Nebraska is still trying to develop a line, and we don't even know who the center is going to be. We think Trent Hickson's going to be one of the starting guards, but there's still a lot they've got to get sorted out with that offensive line.
All right, what's your biggest question you need to answer before fall camp begins?
Well, Maurice Washington now. I think we should hopefully know more about him maybe by next week when the court date happens in California. And once we get the final answers on his future and his status, we'll have a better idea kind of where things sit. But you get the sense, I mean, I think it's going to be I expect him to be a part of the team and play this season. I mean, I would be really surprised just from kind of what you hear and what you read if this thing that he's dealing with is not dropped down or pled down to something. So we'll see if that is how it plays out. If it is, I would expect him to be a part of things going forward.
All right, a couple key dates. Fan Day is August 1st, first practice August 2nd. The season opener Saturday, August the 31st against South Alabama.